Let me begin the show by asking you a question. How many times have you thought to yourself, why is there an unbelievable disparity between government and private hospitals? How many times have you felt helpless over bone-breaking expenses and bills that private hospitals cough up? Thankfully now it's not just us, but the Supreme Court has also taken cognizance and has come down heavily on the central government. The Supreme Court has said that citizens of India have a fundamental right to healthcare, and when it comes to this matter, the centre definitely cannot shirk its responsibility. The court has also said that if centre does not come with standard rates in a month, it may think of ordering to implement the CGHS Rates scheme in all hospitals, which is the central government's health scheme. Certainly a huge relief for citizens, but how implementable is this direction, and will it change anything rather on ground? We'll discuss this further with our guests tonight, but first let's take a look at Anurag Shaw's report on this story.
This is a big development related to healthcare sector, in which Supreme Court has asked the central government to standardize the rate of treatment protocols across the state. So while hearing a PIL, Supreme Court has observed that there is a large discrepancies between treatment protocols and treatment charges at private hospitals in comparison to government hospitals. So in this regard only, Supreme Court has asked Union Health Secretary to sit with states and decide standard treatment charges. If centre fails to decide the standard treatment charges, Supreme Court may also consider to implement CGHS rates. So it's a very big development, because from last many years there has been complaint regarding overcharging, huge discrepancy between the treatment charges at private hospitals and government hospitals. So this has been observed by Supreme Court that good healthcare is a fundamental right of citizens. So there should be complete transparency related to the treatment charges, and treatment rate should also be displayed at hospitals, and the centre need to fix the standard treatment protocols, and within a month centre need to sit with all the states and decide the standard treatment charges.
And joining us now to discuss this further is Dr. Girdhar Gyani, the Director General at AHPI. Thank you very much, Dr. Gyani, for joining us this evening to discuss this very, very crucial story. But what in your opinion, is this directive really going to things change on ground, especially when corporate hospital brands look at profitability per quarter?
You see, the Clinical Establishment Act, which Supreme Court is quoting, provided these 2 points which you mentioned. One is that hospital is expected to display the rates, their own rates. And second one is that central government, along with the state government, must fix up the range, the rates in the range, not one particular rate, So that means, suppose for one procedure, the range could be 100 rupees to, let us say, 150 rupees, depending on the type of the hospital. Now, unfortunately, these rates have never been worked out for past so many years. Rather, they have never been worked out, because costing of medical procedure, I will not say it's very easy, it may be complex, but no effort has ever been done to fix the charges of the costing of the procedure, including the CGHS. The rates by CGHS in, let us say, for example, in 2014, were fixed based on the quotation invited from the hospital. And then they worked out in the manner, sometimes we call it as an ad hoc manner. So I think if you fix the rate on scientific basis, bring it a range, so that a smaller hospital will charge 100 rupees and bigger hospital may charge 140 rupees. And then the categorization of the hospital depending on primary, secondary, tertiary, and also depending on the location. This categorization and the rates can be fixed. And if it is done on scientific basis, I can assure you, private hospital will have no problem.
Right. So you are saying that this categorization, if it happens, even private hospitals will not feel the pinch as far as their profitability is concerned. Hold on to that thought, Dr. Gyani. Let me now go across to the other guest who's joining us tonight, Mr. Tapan Singhel, Chairman of GI Council. Mr. Singhel, I want to understand, how can standard hospital rates be implemented in different parts of the country, and how can this categorization be achieved at, as Mr. Gyani was mentioning?
See, as an industry, we have always been asking for that there should be a regulator for hospitals. If I look at hospitals now, it's become a huge industry. It's spread all across the country. There has to be transparency. There has to be regulations. Also, very happy to see from the finance ministry the recommendation for a regulation. Now, as an industry, we're also very happy to see the Supreme Court direction on standardization of rates. If you look at the Generations Council has also, in the past come up with cashless for all. It has said that if you have a tie-up with any company, any hospital, now that will become applicable to all companies. So as an industry, we're also pushing for transparency. We're also pushing for fairness to customer, and which can be done. So from our side, it's a very welcome move, and we are very happy to hear this.
Right, so you're saying that you, of course, are very happy to see this, and it's a welcome move, certainly for lakhs of patients who, of course, are forced to cough up very, very premium amounts. But let me ask you now, Mr. Gyani, do you see people's premiums reducing as well after these standard rates?
Say again?
I want to understand if people's premiums will also reduce after these standard rates are set, or this categorization is perhaps brought about.
You see, for example, Supreme Court today had mentioned that for cataract surgery in the government, it is 10,000 rupees, and it is a private, it can go up to 1.4 lakhs. Now, let me say here that this 10,000 rupees is not the actual cost. It is very, very subsidized cost. If you really do the study by working out the fixed cost and also the variable cost in any government hospital, I can assure you the rates which are being charged in private and government will not be much different. So this subsidized actually is being done by you and me. We are paying the taxes based on which the government hospitals are running. So now coming back to your question, if you do the scientific costing and the rates come, the one concept which actually we do not understand, that today 60% of population actually has got some or other covered by the government or by the private insurance company or something like that. So those days are gone that we used to say that large population is paying out of the pocket. It is not the case. Only issue here is, for example, Ayushman Bharat, when it came in 2018, it was expected to cover 40% of India's population. On theory. Although practically we have not been able to issue the cards to, let us say, 40% of this 40% population. But once it is issued, that means they have the cover of 5 lakhs rupees and go to any private hospital. The issue here is now that private hospitals, many of them are not ready to get impaneled under this scheme because the rate fixed under the Ayushman Bharat again are not on the basis of any scientific study. So they are in fact unviable. Now, if you make the rates on scientific basis, and I am saying even if they are little low, let us introduce the co-payment scheme which is done in many of the developed countries. That means if the government fixes 100 rupees for one procedure,
absolutely,
I as a small hospital will agree to do in 100 rupees. Bigger hospital will say, no, sorry, I will charge 130.
absolutely.
Patient will have choice to go to smaller or bigger
Absolutely.
and pay 30 rupees extra from his own pocket. So that is the solution for this kind of disparity, which can be done very easily.
Right. Mr. Gyani, hold on to that thought. Let me go again to Mr. Singhel. So, Mr. Singhel, Mr. Gyani is hinting at perhaps, how this is going to be not just benefiting consumers, but even smaller hospitals will be comfortable with the kind of categorization that can be achieved at. What in your view on how this can be perhaps implemented?
See, if you look at it, as an insurance industry, we pay around 80,000 crores to hospitals, on a yearly basis currently, and this will move up to a couple of lakh of crores, which is there. So we have enough data. We have cashless being provided at around 40,000 hospitals, and if I see the data, there are about just 70,000 hospitals across. So the industry has enough data. Now, if you look at the same city, same kind of hospitals, they should typically be on the same kind of charges. And the issue which comes in is that we have to be fair to the hospital also, that they should not be running a business at a loss because we expect them to expand, we expect them to bring in new innovation technology. So with good data that we have with hospital association, representative of ministry, this can be achieved today. It's not so difficult, I would say.
All right, gentlemen, thanks very much for discussing this very, very crucial healthcare story, which impacts not just consumers. Of course, it is going to be having a very important bearing on consumers if that categorization or the standardization of rates that the Supreme Court was talking about, if that can really be arrived at. But even hospitals can have a specific category, have a specific window under which they can operate. And of course, consumers will be safe from all the fleecing that they faced from some of these private hospitals. Time for us